The stars were quiet, glowing like cold eyes in the dark sky. Humanity's fleet moved slowly through Sector 12, cautious but confident. After years of brutal war, the enemy was finally cornered. The last of the Koran Empire's ships floated, damaged and retreating. Victory was within reach. General Rourke stood on the command deck of the ISS Valiant, Earth's flagship. His jaw was tight, eyes sharp as he studied the holographic battle map. "We've got them," whispered Captain Yara beside him. "Have nowhere left to run." Rourke nodded, still watching the screen. "One last push. Let's finish this." Behind them, dozens of Earth warships lined up with their allies, the powerful Draxery fleet. For 10 years, humans and Draxery had fought side by side, blood brothers in a galaxy filled with war. A message came in. Draxery Admiral Shax's face appeared on the screen, calm, cold, unreadable. "Prepare for final assault," Shax said. Replied, "Let's end it together." The countdown began. Earth ships moved into position, missiles armed, cannons charged. Pilots gave final handshakes and nods. This was the end. But then the Draxery ships turned. Rourke frowned. "Why are they repositioning?" Captain Yara looked confused. "That's not the plan." In a flash of light, the first Draxery ship fired not at the Koran but directly into the side of an Earth cruiser. Alarms screamed. Another blast tore through the ISS Andromeda. Flames and bodies flew into space. "They're attacking us," Yara shouted. Rourke slammed his fist on the console. "Shields up. Return fire now." But it was too late. Draxery missiles flooded the sky. Hundreds of human ships lit up like fireballs in the blackness. Officers screamed over comms. Pilots begged for backup. Friends died within seconds. General Rourke could only watch as half his fleet was destroyed in under 2 minutes. "Why?" Yara gasped, her voice shaking. Rourke didn't answer at first. His hands were clenched so tight they bled. Finally, he spoke, his voice like stone. "We trusted them," he said slowly. "Now they'll pay for everything." The survivors limped away from the battlefield. Earth had lost nearly 40,000 soldiers. Titan Base, orbiting Saturn, became the emergency command center. The halls were quiet, filled with wounded ashes and silent rage. Rourke stood before the remaining officers. "This wasn't a war tactic," he said. "It was betrayal." No one spoke. Some lowered their heads. Others clenched their teeth. They waited until we were vulnerable. They used us, and when we were about to win, they cut our throats. Lieutenant Griggs asked, "Do we know why?" "Not." Yet Rourke said, "But I don't care why. I only care about one thing now." He turned to the massive screen behind him. It showed a new file. Project Vengeance, ACTIVAT. In a hidden lab deep inside Titan Base, scientists worked around the clock. Project Vengeance wasn't just a weapon. It was the end of worlds, a super weapon designed only in... Now, Dr. Miri Chen, lead physicist, looked uneasy as she reviewed the data. "This wasn't meant to be used," she whispered. Rourke stared at the glowing reactor core inside the sealed chamber. "It is now," he replied. Outside, in the cold silence of space, scout ships searched for the Draxery fleet. What they found instead was something worse. A human freighter, empty floating. Inside the crew was dead. No battle damage, no blood, just silence. Captain Yara reviewed the logs. Her face went pale. "They were poisoned," she whispered. The crew had been killed by a virus bioengineered. The logs showed the virus signature, Draxery military. It wasn't just betrayal in battle. It was extermination. That night, Rourke stood alone in the war room, watching old battle footage. The screams, the fire, the lies. A voice came from behind him. "You can still stop this," said Dr. Chen. "This path, it will change us." Rourke didn't turn around. "We already changed," he said quietly. "When they turned their guns on us, they ended the rules. Now, there's only survival and revenge." But not everyone agreed. On a dark hallway near the reactor chamber, someone moved quietly. Fingers tapped codes into a control panel. The system beeped access. Granted, it was Lieutenant Vec, half Draxery, half human, born between both worlds, a symbol of peace. Now torn by war, he stood before the core of Project Vengeance, placing a small explosive on the outer wall. I'm sorry, he whispered, but before he could activate it, a voice shouted, "Stop." Rourke stepped out from the shadows, gun drawn. "Trusted you," he growled. Vec raised his hands. "You don't understand. If you use this weapon, you'll destroy innocent lives. You'll become the monster you're fighting." Rourke's hands trembled on the trigger. "There are no innocent Draxari anymore." Vec stepped forward. "My mother was Draxari. She died helping humans. Not all of them are traitors." Rourke paused. His grip loosened. "I should kill you," he said. "But I won't, because if there's even one decent Draxari left, I need them to see what's coming." The fleet moved out 2 days later. Earth ships rebuilt and ready. Project Vengeance at the center. Their mission: burn every Draxari world that helped in the betrayal. But just as they reached the first enemy planet, something unexpected happened. A transmission came through. It was a Draxari Tellan. "We didn't all agree with Admiral Shax," she said. "Many of us were against the attack. He acted alone. We've arrested him." Rourke's eyes narrowed. "You expect me to believe that?" "I can prove it," Talon said. "Let us show you. Don't become like him." Silence filled the bridge. All eyes turned to Rourke. This was the moment. "Fire the weapon or hear them out," Captain Yara whispered. "It's your call." Rourke stared at the planet below. Millions of lives, soldiers, civilians, children, the same kind of people he had sworn to protect. He opened the command channel. "This is General Rourke of Earth. We remember the betrayal. We remember the dead. But we will not become murderers." He turned off the weapon system. "Tell your people," he said, "we're not done watching." Back on Titan base, Rourke looked at the stars once more. "They thought betrayal would break us," he said, "but it only made us stronger, wiser." Captain Yara stood beside him. "What happens now?" Rourke looked ahead. The galaxy was still dangerous, still full of lies, but now Earth was ready. "Now," he said, "we never trust anyone completely, and we never let our guard down again." Titan base was quiet. Too quiet. After the Draxari betrayal, Earth had lost nearly half its fleet. Families mourned. Soldiers were angry, and General Rourke was planning. Inside the command center, screens showed the names of destroyed ships: Andromeda, Falcon's Wrath, ISS Liberty. Thousands of lives gone in seconds. Rourke stood alone, staring at the wall of names. He didn't blink, he didn't speak, but inside, something had changed. This was no longer a war for survival. This was a war for justice and for revenge. Scene switches to a strategy meeting. Captain Yara entered the war room. She looked tired, eyes red, uniform dusty from the last battle. "Sir," she said, "we've received a report. Some Draxari ships are still in our space. They're watching us." Rourke's voice was calm, but cold. "Let them watch. I want them to see what's coming." Another officer, Lieutenant Griggs, stepped forward. "Sir, with respect, what is coming?" Rourke turned to face the team. "Phase 1, he said. "We rebuild the fleet. Stronger, faster, smarter. No more trusting allies. Only Earth." U.S. cut to secret underground hangar. Titan base's lower level was once just a storage zone. Now it had become something else. Huge machines moved. Sparks flew. Engineers in exosuits worked around a glowing core. Project Vengeance was being built faster than anyone thought possible. Dr. Miri Chen, lead scientist, checked the readings. "This core, if overloaded, could erase a moon," she warned. Rourke stood beside her. "I'm not asking for safety," he said. "I'm asking for results." Chen looked nervous. "What if we go too far?" Rourke didn't hesitate. They already did. Scene cut, Memorial Hall, Titan base, soldiers and families gathered in silence. Holograms showed the fallen. Children held photos of parents lost in the betrayal. A little girl walked to the front, placed a flower beside her father's name, Captain. Yara watched from a distance, her fists clenched. "They have to pay," she whispered. Scene switch, Rourke's private log recording. Day 6 since the betrayal. The Draxari broke our trust. They broke the rules of war. So now, we break them. 2. We're not the same species we were 10 years ago. They turned us into something else. Now, let's see if they like what we've become. Final scene. Outside Titan Base, new fleet is being built. Massive warships, black-armored, shaped like arrows of vengeance. One ship stands out, the Revenant, Earth's first stealth dreadnought. Born in silence, forged in betrayal. Captain Yara walks the bridge, checking systems. Griggs asks, "Where to first?" Yara smiles darkly. "To the nearest Draxery outpost. Let's send them a message." Titan. Base was no longer just a defense station. It had become a forge for vengeance. Underground, in a hidden facility. The most powerful minds of Earth were building something that had never existed before, Project Vengeance. A weapon designed not to win wars, but to end enemies. Scene? Secret Lab, Core Room DR. Miri Chen walked slowly around the glowing reactor. Her hands were shaking, even in gloves. The energy readings were rising too fast. "This is beyond dangerous," she said. Lieutenant Griggs looked through the glass. "It's beautiful," he said quietly, "and terrifying." At the center of the lab floated a crystal sphere, pulsing. With dark red light, it was called the Void Cora stolen alien artifact, never meant for human hands. It could bend space, shatter shields, melt entire cities from orbit. Dr. Chen turned to General Rourke. "We don't understand it fully. If we fire this weapon, we might not be able to stop it." Rourke stared at the core. "Good," he said. "Let them feel the same fear they gave us." Scene, weapons testing range, Titan base. Outer Sector Earth's engineers had built a prototype gun mounted on a test ship. They called it the Fang Dot. They aimed it at a dead asteroid the size of a mountain. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The beam flashed for only half a second. The asteroid vanished. Not exploded, not shattered, gone, erased from space, like it was never there. Everyone stood in silence. Then someone whispered, "It works." Scene, War Room, planning the strike. Rourke, Captain Yara, and their top officers sat around the strategy table. A map of Draxery territory glowed before them. Captain Yara tapped a small planet near the edge. "This world is lightly defended, mostly supply lines. Civilians," Griggs raised an eyebrow. "We're hitting civilians." Rourke looked up, double quotes, "No. We're hitting their future." Everyone fell quiet. "They didn't show mercy," he said. "We won't either. But we'll be smarter. We'll take what matters to them, then we'll take everything else." Scene, Draxery Council, enemy POW, von the Draxery homeworld, panic was rising. They had expected Earth to collapse after the betrayal. But instead, Earth was rebuilding, growing stronger. Angry .DRAXRE Commander Tellen stood in front of her council. "We should never have betrayed them," she warned. "Survived every war. Now they're preparing for one without limits." The council leader growled. "Let them try. We are ready." But Tellen knew they weren't. Not for what was coming. Scene, Titan base, personal moments in a quiet corner. Dr. Chen recorded a video message. "If this is found after we're gone, no, this wasn't built with pride. It was built with grief, anger, and fear. We didn't want this war. But now, we have no choice." She looked at the void core behind her and whispered, "May God forgive us for what we're about to do." Final scene, first weapon loading onto warship the Void. Cannon 20 meters. Long is loaded onto the Revenant. The ship rumbles as it powers up. Crew members stare at the glowing weapon like it's alive. Captain Yara walks the bridge. Rourke's voice comes through the speaker. "Test is over. Now it's real. First target, Draxery Fuel Depot, Moon Sigma-9, wipe it from the map." Titan base was running at full power. Ships were being armed. Soldiers were training non-stop. The new weapon Project Vengeance was almost complete. But something was wrong. A message never arrived. A ship's coordinates were leaked. A supply station was ambushed by the enemy. General Rourke stood silently over the wreckage. "Reports. How did the Draxery know our movements?" Only one answer made sense. There was a traitor inside Titan base. Scene, command briefing room. Captain Yara slammed her hand on the table. "We have a leak. Someone is feeding our data to the Draxery." Lieutenant Griggs spoke carefully. "We've locked down all external transmissions. No one leaves. No one enters until we find the spy." General Rourke stepped forward, his voice low and cold. "I want every officer checked. Every engineer, every guard, even my staff. No exceptions." The room fell silent. Scene surveillance room security teams searched quarters. AI scanners ran facial recognition. Every movement was tracked then. They found something strange. Late-night, access to the main reactor logs. A hidden code, buried inside the energy grid. The code matched only one profile, Lieutenant VEK, half-DRAXRA, half human, born of two worlds. Once a symbol of peace, now the prime suspect scene. Vek's quarters guards rushed in, weapons drawn. VEK raised his hands.com. To calm you think it's me, because of my blood, he said. Captain Yara stepped forward. We think it's you because we found your access codes in the reactor systems. Vek narrowed his eyes. Check the timestamp. I was in the hangar at that hour. You're being played. Scene Internal Investigation Lab DR. Chen reviewed the data. Vek was right. He wasn't near the reactor during the sabotage. So who used his codes? Suddenly, the AI flagged another match. A technician low-level who had clearance and connections to Draxery trade ships. Rourke didn't wait. Find him. Scene Hangar Bay. Chase the spy tried to run. He stole a maintenance shuttle. Started the engines. Sirens blared across Titan Base. Captain Yara and her team gave chase in armored suits. Gunfire echoed through the loading dock. They caught him just before he launched. He was armed and terrified. They'll kill me, he shouted. You don't know what they are, what they're planning. Yara grabbed him by the collar. US everything, or you die right here. Scene Interrogation Room, the traitor confessed. He had been working for a hidden Draxery cell. They weren't just planning defense, they were planning a second betrayal. Your Project Vengeance. He laughed. They're building something worse. He smiled before biting down on a hidden tooth capsule, dead in seconds. Scene Titan Base Medical. Center Lieutenant Vek sat quietly as medics checked his vitals. Captain Yara entered. I misjudged you, she said. Vek looked up. You're not the only one. She paused, then handed him a badge. General Rourke wants you back. On the Revenant, second officer. Vek nodded slowly. For Earth, he said. Final scene. Rourke's command log. They tried to tear us apart from within, but they failed. Now they'll learn something the hard way. You don't stab a human in the back and expect to survive it. The time for planning was over. The time for warnings was over. Now it was time for revenge. The Revenant, Earth's first stealth dreadnought, floated in space, silent and deadly. It carried humanity's most powerful weapon, the Void Cannon, and a new target had been locked. Scene Titan Base War Room. General Rourke stood in front of the fleet officers. This isn't just about hitting back, he said. This is about sending a message. He tapped a red point on the star map. DRAXARA outpost, Vega 6, a fuel depot. Lightly defended, critical to enemy movement. Captain Yara nodded. If we destroy it, their entire supply line collapses. Exactly, Rourke said. No warning, no mercy. First strike begins now. Scene aboard the Revenant, the ship moved through space like a ghost, cloaked, invisible to sensors. Inside, the crew waited in silence. Lieutenant Vek, now second officer, watched the stars drift by. We're close, he said. Draxery outpost ahead. Captain Yara gave the order. Prepare the cannon. Engineers activated the void core. The ship vibrated softly, like it was breathing. Dr. Chen's voice echoed through the intercom. Void cannon charged. Coordinates locked, ready to fire. Scene, Vega 6 Draxery outpost on the surface. Draxery workers moved fuel tanks. Pilots chatted. Guards scanned space casually. They never saw it coming. A thin red beam appeared in the sky. Then, in one instant, everything vanished. No explosion, no fire, just silence. The entire outpost, erased from existence. Scene Draxery homeworld. Command center alarms rang across the planet. Vega 6 is gone, a guard shouted. No distress call, no remains. Draxery High Commander roared. How? What did they use? Commander Tellin stared at the data feed. This was no missile. This was something new, something impossible, she whispered. They're striking back. Scene Revenant Bridge. After the strike, the crew watched the view screen. There was nothing left of Vega 6, only empty space where a moon-sized station had stood. Captain Yara looked at Vek. Still think we've gone too far? Vec didn't answer. Behind them, Rourke's face appeared on the screen. Well done. First strike successful. He leaned forward, and now we move deeper. Scene, Titan base, crowd reaction. News of the strike spread fast across Earth. Colonies, people cheered. Finally, we're fighting back. Make them pay. Show them what humans can do. But in the shadows, others were afraid. A scientist whispered to her friend, if we can erase planets, what's stopping US from becoming the real threat? Final scene, Draxery Council emergency meeting. The Draxery leaders were panicking. Earth now has a weapon we cannot stop, one said. Do we sue for peace? Another asked. Commander Tellen stood. No, if we show weakness now, they'll crush. US, we must strike first, harder, deeper, before they do it again. The humans had done something no one thought possible. They erased an entire Draxery outpost. No warnings, no survivors. Only silence remained where Vega 6 once floated. The galaxy was watching. And now the Draxori were afraid. Seen Draxori. Homeworld War Chamber, inside a dark, stone-lined chamber. The High Council gathered holograms of burning fuel ships and destroyed colonies hovered in the air. They've created a ghost weapon, one elder said. It leaves no trace, no wreckage, not even ashes. Commander Tellen stood alone in the center. They call it the Void Cannon, she said, and this is only the beginning. Flashback, Tellen's memory, simple imagery, she remembered fighting. Beside humans during the early years, she had seen their courage, their pain, their loyalty. And now she saw something else, a fury that would never stop. Seen. Internal council argument hath, the Draxery leaders demanded war. They're weak. Inside, said General VAR, strike their homeworld. Finish what we started. But others disagreed. The humans were our allies once, said Elder Jor. We betrayed them. And now, they are showing us who they really are. Commander Tellen raised her voice. You don't understand. This isn't just a war. Now it's revenge. They will not stop until we are broken. Seen secret Draxery base, new weapon projecting, the dark side of a moon. Draxery scientists worked quietly. They were building their own secret weapon, Project Cinder, smaller than the Void Cannon, but deadly. Instead of erasing cities it infected systems, a virus of energy. It could burn a ship's core from the inside out. We'll plant it in their next strike fleet, said the lead scientist. They won't even see it coming. Seen. Titan base Earth fleet expands. General Rourke oversaw the construction of 3 more Void-class destroyers. The Revenant was no longer alone. Soldiers trained day and night, pilots learned to strike fast and vanish. But not all humans agreed. Dr. Miri Chen sat quietly in her lab. Watching footage of the destroyed outpost, she whispered, we are becoming what we swore to destroy. Seen, private talk, Vec and Yaravec leaned on the railing, watching a ship launch. They're afraid of us now, he said. Captain Yara nodded. Good, that means they'll hesitate. Vec turned to her. What if they strike first? What? If fear turns into madness, Yara looked at him. Then we'll burn everything they have, twice, seen Draxery outpost. A message from Earth-Alone Earth drone arrived at a Draxery communication hub. It played a message. You betrayed. Unless you killed our people, there will be no peace. Only justice. And we decide what that means now. Final scene, Draxery War Room Commander Tellen Alonchi stood before the council map, watching Earth's red markers spreading across their borders. She closed her eyes. We should have never turned on them, she whispered, her second officer. Stepped in, orders Commander. She opened her eyes. Prepare our fleets, because the humans, they're just getting started. The line had been crossed. The message was clear. Humanity would not stop. The Draxery tried to scare them. Tried to beg, tried to reason. But General Rourke had made his choice. There would be no mercy. There would be no surrender. Seen Titan base. War command alarms pulsed red. Officers gathered around the center table. Draxery just sent a message, said Captain Yara. She played it on the main screen. Earth, stop now. Return to the treaty, or we will launch everything we have. Even your homeworld will burn. The room fell silent. General Rourke slowly stood. He didn't blink. He didn't shout. He simply said, let them try. Seen Draxery. Empire, Military High Council, the Draxery were breaking apart. Some commanders begged for peace. Others prepared for a final. Full Assault. Commander Tellen stood in front of the central war table. "Humanity is not bluffing," she said. "They will use the Void Cannon again. We will lose entire systems." General Var slammed his fist on the table. "Then we strike first. All planets, all colonies, all ships, even Earth." Another asked. He nodded. "Especially Earth." Scene. The Revenant, preparing for next attack inside Earth's deadliest ship, the Void Cannon, was recharging. This time they were going deeper into enemy space, straight into the Draxery inner circle. Lieutenant Vec spoke to Rourke. "We received word. The Draxery are moving on Earth." Rourke didn't flinch. "Then we move on their capital. Let's see whose fire burns hotter." Seeing civilian protest on Titan Base Knot, everyone supported the war. A small crowd gathered outside the command tower. They held signs. "Enough blood, bring back our soldiers. We are becoming monsters, Doctor." Chen stood among them. She didn't speak. She just watched. Seen. Earth Defense Command, emergency broadcast Earth leaders, sent a global signal. This is not war. This is survival. Humanity was betrayed. We will finish this, no matter the cost. Seen. Draxery fleet, final preparations of ships gathered near their last stronghold. Commander Tellen watched them from her bridge. "Some of us wanted peace," she said softly, "but now there is no peace left to choose." Seeing General Rourke's private log, "They told us to surrender. They said they'd destroy Earth, but Earth has already died once in betrayal. What we are now is reborn in fire, and we will burn everything that betrayed us." Final scene. The stars before the storm. Two massive fleets moved through space. One red, one blue. Both armed, both ready. They were hours away from the final clash. No turning back, no more talking. Only war. Two great fleets were moving across the stars. On one side, the Draxery Empire, empired, proud, and cornered. On the other side, humanity betrayed, furious, and armed with a weapon that could erase entire worlds. No more warnings, no more peace. Talks. This was the final invasion. Seen. Earth fleet approaching Draxery core worlds. The Revenant, leading the charge, moved like a blade through space. Behind it, 3 more Void-class warships followed, each one powered by Void cannons, each one ready to end civilizations on the bridge. Captain Yara looked at the glowing red planet ahead. "That's it," she said, "the Draxery capital." Lieutenant Vec stared out the window. So many lives about to vanish. General Rourke's voice came through the coms. "This is their judgment day. Ready the cannon." Seen. Draxery capital, last line of defense. Draxery citizens rushed to shelters. Sirens echoed through the cities. Fighters launched into orbit. Commander Tellen stood on the bridge of her warcruiser, watching Earth's fleet arrive. She knew they were outnumbered. She knew they couldn't win, but still, she stood her ground. "If we fall," she said, "we fall standing." Scene. The battle begins. The skies turned into fire. Human ships opened fire with railguns, missiles, and beam cannons. The Draxery responded with everything they had. Hundreds of interceptors swarming Earth's cruisers. Explosions rocked both sides, but the Void cannons, they changed everything. One Earth ship fired. A Draxery ship disappeared, gone in one shot, then another, then an orbital station was erased. Panic spread. The Draxery were losing. Fast. Scene. Titan base. Watching from a foreign Titan base, the invasion streamed live across every screen. People watched silently as cities burned, fleets fell, and stars lit up with death. Some cheered, some cried, some turned their faces away. Dr. Chen stood alone in the observation deck. "This isn't victory," she whispered. "This is extinction." Scene. Inside the Draxery, Capital Commander Tellen was wounded, bleeding. Her warcruiser was burning. The city behind her was crumbling. She sent one final message to the human fleet. "You have one, but ask yourself this. What are you now?" Scene. The Void cannon charges for final shot on the Revenant. The crew prepared to fire one last time. Their target, the Draxery Central Command bunker. "Captain." Yara's finger hovered over the launch key. Lieutenant Vec stepped forward. "Yara, that last message, did you hear it?" "I heard it," she said, without looking. Vec's voice shook. "She surrendered." Yara paused. The lights on the console turned red. Scene. General Rourke's orders. Rourke's voice came through the channel. Fire. End this. No survivors. Yara's hand trembled. Final scene. 1 second before impact, Void Cannon began its final charge. The Draxery planet glowed below. Everyone held their breath. Then, silence. The screen faded to black. The Void Cannon was ready. 1 shot, and the Draxery capital would vanish forever. 1 shot, and the war would end. Captain Yara stood frozen on the Revenant's bridge. Her finger hovered over the fire command. Lieutenant Vex spoke softly beside her. She surrendered. She gave up. Do we still fire? The silence on the bridge was heavy. Then General Rourke's voice echoed through the speakers. Fire the cannon, Captain. That's an order. Flashback screams. Flames. Betrayal. Earth ships burning. Friends dying. The Draxery's surprise attack. Yara closed her eyes. I lost everyone that day. But then she remembered the little girl on Titan base, leaving flowers at her father's name. Dr. Chen, whispering, "This isn't victory, this is extinction." Her hand dropped away from the trigger. "No," Yara said. Rourke shouted through, "Comes Captain Fire." Now Yara stepped back. No more killing, not like this scene. The Void Cannon powers down. The red glow faded. The shot was cancelled. Across the Draxery world, people looked to the sky and saw no fire, seen Titan. Base Rourke's office he smashed the console. She disobeyed, he growled. She let them live. But in his eyes, even he wasn't sure anymore. Scene. Vex's personal log. We had the power to destroy everything, but for the first time, we chose not to. Maybe that's what makes us different. The war was over, but peace didn't come. General Rourke resigned in silence. Captain Yara was hailed as a hero and a traitor. The Draxery rebuilt their world. With eyes always on the stars, Earth returned to its colonies. Stronger, smarter, but forever changed. Project Vengeance was locked away, buried, feared, remembered. Lieutenant Vex looked to the sky and whispered, "We stopped the weapon, but we didn't stop the war. We just changed what it looks like."